Hello and welcome back to another episode of Math with Son. Today we're going to be doing some properties of kites. Now kites are unusual compared to rhombuses, which was the last video, in the sense that they don't have four equal sides. They have two sets of equal sides. So these two are equal and these two are equal. And when they are equal, you may notice that the opposite angles are not always equal, but they are equal here and here, okay? Not only that, but if you wanted to, later on, we could create four little right triangles, two of which would be congruent to each other. So like these two triangles are equal, and these two triangles that I have squares on are equal as well. So that's the basic idea of kites. And because these two angles are equal, what you can do is you can realize that it is a quadrilateral, and all quadrilaterals add up to 360. So 360 must equal 96 plus 74 plus these guys, which are going to be the same thing. So you could say x and x, or you could subtract from 360 and then divide by 2. It's up to you. Either way, you solve that equation. You take 360, you subtract the 96, and you subtract the 76 from it, and you have 188 left over is equal to 2x when you combine like terms, and 188 divided by 2 leaves 94 for each of these guys up here, so angle U is 94. All right, same thing's going to happen here. I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to understand that whatever is left over will be divided in half between these two because these are equal. So if I take 360 and I subtract the 70 and I subtract the 66, which is what I did in my calculator, that would equal the leftover amount, and that leftover amount is going to be split up equally. So subtract 70 and subtract 66, and you get 224. And if you divide that in half, you get 112 for each of these. So this one is 112 degrees, and that one was 94 degrees. Okay? Now, there are some other unique things you can do to the angles, but not everywhere. If you cut the kite in half, like we did this way, where you don't cut it this way, if you cut it the way I'm drawing this line, these two angles where I'm putting circles are not equal. Not equal, but these are equal. So this is going to be 34 degrees. Not only is that going to be 34 degrees, there is a right angle here, and there's a right angle there. We could figure out a whole bunch of other things because this is a right angle. You could find out this missing part, which this part here and that part here where I'm filling in, those will be congruent. So later on, we might encounter that. All right, so 58 degrees here will not equal 58 degrees there most likely. Okay, we got to be very careful here. We have to think. And in this case, it might be, but it might not be. It looks a little confusing. It doesn't even look like a kite in this sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to understand and think about this as this is a shared side between the top and the bottom triangle. And if we have 1, 2, 3 sides that are equal, then 1, 2, 3 sides that are equal, that must mean that this triangle PQR is congruent to triangle SR. And it actually has to be in that order because see how we go from P to Q is the double side, P to S is the double side as well. So it has to be in that order. And next to this single dash, we have the question mark. And if next to the single dash we have the question mark, that is the angle that will also be equal to each other, which does not take away from what I said here on number 3. It's more that number 4 just doesn't look like a kite. That's why I dealt with it differently, okay? It is the same exact thing because here we have the two sides that are equal. There we had the two sides that were equal as well. It was just harder to see. Let's try another one. 5 is an easy one. Double hash mark, 7. I hope your teacher didn't even give you this question. Double hash mark, 12. Okay? We got WR is 22, so if this is 22, what would be W to U? Well, remember how I said there's a bunch of congruent triangles? These two triangles here, right here, and right here are equal. So this is also going to be equal to 22, which means W all the way to U is not 22, it's 22 plus 22, which is 44. WU. equals 4 to 4. Okay? And we get to the problem that I started with in the beginning. We got m to e is 20. What is m all the way to k? Well, you have to add the extra 20 to get 40. 20 plus 20 make 40 is equal to m to k. Okay? Moving on to the back. The back of these problems or back of these sheets are always a little bit harder. You have to think and solve algebraically. We have 8x plus 2 would have to be equal to 50. And a lot of times in geometry, you have to think, are they equal or do they add to 180? Or is it something even more complicated? In this case, they equal each other. So 8x plus 2, we subtract the 2 over, and we subtract the 2 from 50, we get 48. And 48 divided by 8 is 6. So x is equal to 6. And in this top half, we're only solving for x. And then we're going to have to figure out what are some actual things when we plug it in. All right, t to b is 9, according to this for number 10. And b to v is -1. That is -1 plus x. Well, are those equal to each other? Yes. These two sides right here and here are congruent. So that means -1 plus x must equal 9. In order to solve for x, we have to add 1 to both sides, and you get x is equal to 10, ladies and gentlemen. Moving right along. This one is our first challenge-ish problem. Challenge-ish being the key word. We have this angle here, x, will be equal to angle v. So over here, we also have an 8x minus 5. You have two options for how to solve this. You could either add everything up and equal it to 360, which is what I recommend for the non-lazy individuals in the room. If you are a lazy individual, there is a slightly different method where you take the 115 and the 95 away from 360, essentially doing what the equation would tell you to do anyways, and figuring out what angle x and v would equal in the beginning. If you are that person, by all means do it. If you're not that person, if you would prefer to write it all out like I'm doing because it's more safe, then I recommend that. So 16x is 8x plus 8x. -5 and -5 make -10. And then 115 and 95 make something. 115 plus 95 is 210 is equal to 360. Okay? So I'm going to combine the -10 and 210, and that makes 16x plus 200, when you combine these two guys, is equal to 360. We're going to subtract the 200. We're going to subtract the 200. We're going to get 16x is equal to 160, which means x is equal to 10. Ta-da! All right, last one for solve for x. We got 2x plus 4. We got 18. You just set them equal to each other because those definitely have double hash marks equal. So you do 2x plus 4. We subtract the 4. And you get 2x is equal to, subtract 4 from 18, 14. Divide by 2. 14 divided by 2 is 7. Okay? 13. I go through these quickly. Get them done. Now we need to find angle SRT. So let's find out SRT is this angle. Well, that looks like it's going to be equal to the 45x to me. So let's do that. We got 45x minus 46, equals 46x minus 1. Well, how do we solve for that? Well, I don't add 1 to both sides because if I add 1 to both sides, that's going to not be helpful. What I'm going to end up doing is maybe subtracting the 46x. The reason that I'm subtracting 46x, even though I really don't want to, is because now I get -1x is equal to -1. And that means that I don't have the x's and the numbers on the same side, which was the main goal. Get all the x's on one side, get the numbers on the other. Divide by -1, and x is equal to +1. And if we need to find angle SRT, you need to plug it in for the x in SRT, which would be 46 times 1 minus 1. 46 times 1 is 46. Minus 1 makes 45. Let's make sure that it equals 45 here. Does 45 times 1 equal 45? Yes, it does. So that means that angle SRT is, in fact, equal to 45 degrees. Okay? We need to find my in the next problem. Well, my is equal to -2x plus 8. So if this is equal to -2x plus 8, over here, -2x plus 8, and this is equal to 13x plus 5, do those look like they equal each other? Yes, they do. So let's equal them to each other. Negative 2x plus 8 equals 13x plus 5. Let's solve that equation. I'm going to add the 2x over because I prefer to add than subtract for whatever reason. We get 8 is equal to 15x plus 5. I could have subtracted the 13x, but I prefer to have a positive x. Subtract 5. And, ruh-roh, I made a mistake. It's not negative 2x plus 8, it's negative 2 plus 8x. No, negative 2 plus 8x means we have to redo the problem slightly. Take 2, negative 2 plus 8, I did it again, negative 2 plus 8x is equal to 13x plus 5. All right, mistakes happen. I'm going to subtract the 8x instead of adding the 2x. We get negative 2x is equal to 13 minus 8 is 5x plus 5. We will now subtract the 5 from both sides. I wrote negative 2x again. I am sorry, folks. Subtract the 5 from both sides. Negative 2 and negative 5 make negative 7 is equal to 5x. I got to make sure I didn't make any more mistakes. All right, 13x minus the 8x. 13 minus 8 is 5. Negative 5 added to the negative 2 makes negative 7. This is the first time in a very long time that I feel like the answer is a decimal, but I'm going to go with it. I'm hoping I didn't make any other mistakes, but 7 divided by 5 is 1.4, and it's negative 7 divided by 5, so that's negative 1.4. Apologies if I made a mistake, but that is the math that I did. All right, we got x is equal to negative 1.4. We got to find what my is, so we just plug it in. Negative 2 plus 8 times negative 1.4. We got negative 2 plus 8 times negative 1.4 is negative 13.2. According to my math, and there's a possibility that I made a mistake, but I don't want to waste your time with finding a mistake if there is one. If you do find it, put it in the comments, please, because that would be very helpful for everybody else. 15. We got to find angle Z. Angle Z is up top. Okay, no problem. It's not 105. That's the problem. But we do know that these are equal to each other, and this seems to be the hardest problem on the page, but maybe not that bad. We're going to subtract 5x. We're going to be very careful that I wrote it down correctly. We got 5x plus 20. We got 7x minus 4. 2x minus 4 is equal to 20. Add 4, add 4. 2x is equal to 24. X would equal 12 when we divide by 2. Great. We need to plug in the 12. We can plug it into either one. I'm going to plug it in here. 5 times 12 plus 20. The reason I chose that is it just seemed easier for whatever reason. 5 times 12 is 60, plus 20 makes 80 degrees. So this is 80 degrees, which means this is 80 degrees, which means we can find out what angle Z is because this whole thing has to add to 360. So if we take 360 and we subtract 80 and we subtract 80 and we subtract 105, whatever's left is going to have to be angle Z. So let's do that. 360 minus 80 minus 80 minus 105 is 95 degrees for that angle up top. Okay? The last problem. These two are equal to each other. So we just do that. X plus 3 equals 2x minus 4, an easy one to end the day off with. Subtract x, subtract x. 3 would equal 1x minus 4. Add 4, add 4. 7 would equal 1x. And now we have to find angle KL. K to L is right here. If we plug in 7 and we add 3, 7 for x plus 3 is 10. So that means K to L is 10. And that's going to do it for this one. Stay positive, my friends. I'm going to look at 14 for the next 30 seconds if you want to hang with me, and we're going to see if I did, in fact, make a mistake. Negative 2 plus 8x equals 13x plus 5. If we subtract 8 from 13, 13 minus 8 is 5. We subtract 5 from negative 2, we get negative 7. And if we divide negative 7 by 5, we get 1.4 negative. And if we plug it in, negative 2 plus 8 times negative 1.4 does still in fact equal negative 13.2. So I feel like I did it right, but maybe not the first time, the second time. See you, everybody. Bye.